I call to order this meeting of the Coweta County Board of Education, Agenda 846, Tax Increase Hearing, 6:30 p.m., August the 7th, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Dr. Horton, turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chapman, if you'd like to go ahead and start us off with our legally required advertisement.
Coweta County School System Board of Education intends to maintain the millage rate for maintenance and operations at 15.41 mils. By levying the 15.41 mils, the Coweta County School System Board of Education will increase the property taxes it will levy this year by 4.04% over the rollback millage rate. Our total digest has grown from $9,313,989,730 to $9,923,399,532, or an increase of 6.54%. Each year, the Board of Tax Assessors is required to review the assessed value for property tax purposes of taxable property in the county. When the trend of prices on properties that have been recently sold in the county indicate there's been an increase in the fair market value of any specific property, the Board of Tax Assessors is required by law to redetermine the value of such property and increase the assessment. This is called a reassessment. When the total digest of taxable property is prepared, Georgia law requires that a rollback millage rate must be computed that will produce the same total revenue on the current year's digest that last year's millage rate would have produced had no reassessments occurred. This calculation would require the school board roll back its millage rate from 15.41 mils to 14.81 mils. Since the school board has elected not to roll back its millage rate, they must advertise their intent to increase the property taxes it will levy this year by 4.04% over the rollback millage rate. Georgia law requires that 3 public hearings be held to allow the public an opportunity to express their opinions on the increase. This is the 3rd of the required hearings.
All right, Mike, just slide on down. Board members, I know you've seen this is the 3rd time, but I'm going to go through it again for consistency's sake. You can see there our general fund revenues, basically right at 52% of our general fund revenues come from local sources, 47.5% come from state, and 0.16 from federal sources, for a total budget of just under $313 million. All right, Mike, go to the next one. Just some historical millage rate data. You can see here on the chart the historical information. I believe that if you were to stay with 15.41 as myself and the staff are recommending, it'd be the lowest in 44 years. I will draw your attention to column E there. You see zeros since about fiscal year 2002. That is the column for debt service. So there is no bond debt for the school system since 2002, 2003 there. Mike, you'll go to the next slide for me. It's just a chart that reflects millage rate and assessed home value based on a variety of numbers from $100,000, I think, up to $800,000. You can see there in the far column, column E, the amount of school tax that an individual that owns a homesteaded property at one of those value points, the amount of property tax that they would pay in school taxes. This is the point where I will remind you once again, the Board of Education, you levy a millage rate for the purpose of funding education. You don't assess property. That falls to the tax assessor's office. They do that and determine values, not the Board of Education. Mike, if you'll go to the next one. Local fair share, you want to take this one, Mr. Chapman?
To participate in state funding, we're required to contribute. It's called local fair share. It's 5 mils of our 5 mils of our digest. You have to levy at least, it's 10 mils now to participate. It had been 14 mils. Right. Currently, our local fair share is $14.5 million. It's capped statewide because the state funding is not at a level to deduct the entire amount. If it were not capped, we would be looking at $52.4 million. which is 9.9 million. As our digest grows, state funding increases, that will increase to the $52.4 million.
Lags, and it's just a matter of when the total amount comes into effect. But for this year, we're estimating it's going to be $42.5 million. Mike, if you'll go to the next one. Just some digest calculations here. I'll let Mr. Chapman run you through those as well. Mr. Chapman.
Working from the prior year digest, $9.3 billion. We had true growth, 2.41%, reassessment growth, 4.13%. Total growth was right at $600 million, 6.54%. Current digest is $9.9 billion. Budgeted collections just over $147 million. We're budgeted a little over 812,272 in the reserves. Currently, if we stay with the 15.41 mills, that would bring in $1,085,000 above what we budgeted in the reserves. If you factored in the projected increase, I mean, we will not see that this year, but the additional 9.9 million, if it were to hit us, would be substantially lower. You can see the impact at other millage rates, 15.325, 15, 14.81. Basically, our break-even point is 15.3 mils.
And that would be break even, not planning to go into reserves if you were to go, say, to 15.3. One thing that I will mention with this piece, you can see there we typically budget pretty conservatively on the revenue side and pretty aggressive on the expenditure side, so that we can do our best to try to balance things out. That revenue neutral, what I would call it, is that 15.30 number. Mike, if you'll go to the next one. Just for comparison's sake, millage rates in the surrounding area. Most of these are from last year because people are going through the same process that we're going through now. But you can see even at 15.41, we compare very, very favorably with surrounding counties, and it's the lowest millage rate for education in the metro area. So, you know, for me, I'm pretty proud of that. I hope you guys are. I think it's 5 of the last 6 years you've lowered the rate. It is the lowest rate around. It's a 43-year low, and I feel like we're still doing a really good job with that low rate compared to others around us. Some things that I think are important for us to at least acknowledge as we look to go forward. I know one of the things that we're all really proud of is those senior exemptions that are going to be on that ballot in November. It's something that you guys worked really hard to get through the legislature this past session. We estimate that those senior exemptions, when we double the amount of exemption for those from 65 up to 75, and we provide that full exemption for homesteaders that are over 75, we estimate right now that that's probably going to be about a $7 million hit for us on the revenue side. I'll also remind you, this past year, we got an increase in state funding of right at, I think, $5.7 million. That was great, but the additional expenses that were mandated to us that we had to do from the state amounted to $10.1 million. That's important in the context of millage rate, because when those things aren't funded and we're required to do them, we do have to pick those up locally. Insurance cost is something that many of you have asked me about over the course of the last several weeks while we've been going through this. What do I anticipate for this year? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to increase again. History does tell me that they've increased the last several years. So there's always the chance of that. Those are the things that I have to think about, and we all have to think about, because we don't know what's coming. I will say we're in a really good position with that low rate, and we feel like we can manage holding at the 15.41. Reserves is something that's mentioned periodically. That reserve, I think you have a chart there that reflects the reserve amount month by month. I think since 21 or 22 is what it is there. You'll notice that reserve every year in October, we hit what I'll call a low water mark in October of every year. That's because we use the reserve amount that we have to run the school system until such time as those property taxes begin to come in, and typically we begin to see those come in around November the 1st. You'll notice, I think last year that low water mark got to around $11 million. Just for context for everybody, our June payroll for this past June was $22 million. So even at $11 million, that left us about 15 days of operating expense that we had there in wiggle room if those taxes didn't come in. You'll notice some years that reserve amount, that low water in October is going to be a little bit lower. There is one year that's reflected where it went negative. And we did pull some money off of, I believe, investment account to be able to meet payroll at that time and didn't have to take out a tax anticipatory note. That is all typically about timing of when those property tax collections begin to come in, related to being able to make the accruals work, I guess is the best word for it. So with that, that's all we have. I'll be happy to take any questions that anybody has for me.
Are there any questions for the superintendent? Hearing none, this is a public tax hearing, but we had no one from the public sign up. So we'll move on. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Dr. Horton, action items group 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I'll call on Mr. Chapman to read recommendation to you. Mr. Chapman.
Recommend that the Coweta County School System Board of Education adopt the following millage levies for the 2025 digest. For the retirement of school bonds and interest on school bonds, 0 mills on a tax digest of $9,965,039,953. For the maintenance and operations of school, 14.51 mills on a tax digest of $9,923,399,532.
Mr. Chair, you've heard the recommendation. I understand from you that the board's going to have time to discuss.
Yes, at this time, I just want to open the floor for any discussion or any motions that may want to be made.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose a 15 mil rate.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to set the millage rate at 15.00. Is there any discussion on that before we take a vote?
I have something to say. That's a bad idea. And if you look at, I don't know if you've got this paper right here that gives a comparison with appraised values and the amount people pay at 15.41, 15.3, and 15.25 mills. On a $500,000 appraised value of a home at 15.41, holding the millage rate where it is now, they would pay $3,051.18. If you go down to 15.25, they would pay $3,019.50. That would save that person $31.68. And when you add up all that little bitty savings throughout the taxable people in the county, it adds up to a lot that the school system's losing. I don't have the numbers for 15.00, but with everything we've been shown, I don't see how it makes any sense to go that low. I think we should keep it at 15.41.
Is there any other discussion before I call for a vote?
I would just say that I feel like by doing the senior tax exemption, being on the ballot in November, I feel like we've done what we can do for seniors, which I think is the right thing to do. But I think that this is the time to try to do something for other families that are not the seniors. And I think that the idea that it's not much for one family, I just feel like that for it to remain at the 15.41 or just to go down to a smaller, just a slight decrease doesn't provide much impact for the average family. And so that's my rationale, is feeling like I want to take care of families in our community, young families per se. And the 15 would still provide us with a reasonable amount of projected reserves. And I feel comfortable with that amount.
I'd like to say again, I don't feel comfortable with that amount. And I think it would be for the future, I think it would be very detrimental. There's a lot of unknowns about the economy right now. I realize everybody's hurting. I'm hurting. Our prices, everything you do costs more. Well, everything the school system does costs more too. And it's our job as board members to fund the school system and educate the children with those funds. We can't, in my opinion, take a chance on giving seniors the discount and roll it back that far too. I just don't think that makes good financial sense. And like I said, it's not, when you look at each individual taxpayer, what are you really doing to help them? I mean, let's say they save $200. That's less than $20 a month. I mean, I just think it's unwise.
If I may, so, I definitely understand kind of your perspective, Mr. Farmer, and I'm not doubting that. I guess I would caution, just saying, what's $200? I mean, $200 is a lot of money to a lot of people, but just I will say, we are still funding the school system. The school system will be funded. This is not this isn't something that is going to last forever. This is, if this motion goes through, it's something that'll last a year. I feel confident with our finance team and Dr. Horton that, this is something that they will be able to weather. And that's, that, and kind of echoing Mrs. Barnett, when I look at, I'm happy that the board was able to provide senior tax exemptions, but then there are other families out there that could use a little relief as well. We are lucky and blessed to be in a positive financial position to be able to provide it.
It's a bad idea.
Are we making a motion on the 15 mils and then?
We have a motion and a second on the 15 mils, and we're in discussion before we take a vote. So did you want to comment, Ms. Dees?
I was going to call the question on the 15 mil.
I'd like to make one more comment. We've been given a recommendation by the superintendent and our financial people that if we vote yes on what you just proposed, we'll be going against what they've shown us and what their advice is and what they're recommending.
I understand.
Any last call for any further discussion?
I'd like to make one comment. I'm kind of torn between 15 and the current millage rate. I think our break-even point was somewhere around 15.25.
15.3.
Was it 15.3 or 15.25? 15.3. I'd like to kind of meet in the middle and look at maybe 15.25. I see Mr. Farmer's point, and I also see Ms. Barnett's point of going to 15, and there's a lot of uncertainties out there right now, so I'd like to consider 15.25.
Well, right now, the motion on the table is for 15.00 with a second. So to consider something else, I think we have to take a vote on 15.00. If it fails, then we can open the floor for additional motion. So is that all the discussion? I don't want to jump. Okay. All those in favor of setting the millage rate for this fiscal year at 15.00. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3. Motion passes 4-3. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0.